So why do we apologize for our faces and for our bodies and for our age? Somewhere along the line, showing up as you are naturally turned into something that we feel we have to excuse. So let's talk about it. Hey, it's Kim, and if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button so that you can follow along. I've been thinking a lot about how often women feel the need to apologize for everything about themselves, about their face and their hair and their bodies and even their clothes. And, we say, I'm sorry for it. Like, we're supposed to apologize for existing in our own skin. And somewhere along the line, being honest about aging naturally started to feel like a social faux pas. And we say things like, oh, ignore my tired eyes, or I look awful today, or I didn't have time to put on makeup, or I didn't have time to fix my hair, or don't mind me, like it's a flaw to simply look like real life. Self-deprecation becomes this shield that we hold up, like we have to reassure people that, we're not perfect. There are just so many women that are my age or younger, and they're smart, funny, confident women, and, we still crack jokes about getting old or having purple circles under our eyes, like it's a moral flaw. And I don't mean just, over 50 or 60. I mean all ages, even younger women who are finding their first few gray hairs. I know I spent the better part of my life doing it. Why do we do it? Maybe it feels safer to make the joke first. Like maybe if we point it out before other people have the chance to, then, they can't do it. If apology protects us from judgment, it's kind of a performance, a preemptive apology for something that doesn't need apologizing for. And, most of us were raised on that before and after culture, where the after always meant that you were younger or smoother or smaller or tighter. It's no wonder we grew up apologizing for the before. There's profit in keeping women feeling not quite enough. And aging women are especially targeted. So, of course, we internalize that message starting at a young age. And every time a woman says, oh, sorry, I look awful, she's sharing where she learned her worth was measured. Think about that. And in regard to aging, one thing that makes it even harder comes directly from women. And, it's the social media influencers who say things like, I'm 60, but I look and feel 35, as if that's the gold standard. And they aren't apologizing for aging. No. They're denying it. In their world, aging doesn't exist. And, you probably know the ones I'm talking about. Typically they'll probably color their hair, maybe they get Botox or fillers, or, maybe they've had surgery, or they post very, very filtered photos. But the truth is, that's not honesty. It's marketing. They're inventing a version of themselves that isn't realistic, for the average woman who's just trying to get through their day. And I guarantee with total and complete surety that there is not a 60-year-old woman that has no wrinkles on their forehead. There just isn't, so why pretend? Well, for the influencers, it makes a lot of money. That's why they do it. But the more insecure that you stay, the more opportunity for them to sell their products or their programs to you. But it can leave a lot of women feeling like that they're doing something wrong just because they look or they feel their age. Like aging should only happen on paper, not in real life. And the way a person looks is not an indicator of health or strength or ability, and it's definitely not an indicator of worth. We're so quick to say aging isn't for the faint of heart, things like that. But then we try to turn around and act like it's all effortless, like nothing hurts and no one's tired. That's the performance again. Why do we feel like that? We have to pretend that everything's just a piece of cake. Like aging can become mentally harder than it has to be, not because of what's happening to our bodies, but because of what's happening in our minds. And, everyone has their own unique set of experiences and genetics and health issues, and we all come to the table carrying different stories. And yet we compare and we compete as if there's one right way to age or one right way to look, but there isn't. And the magic is in acceptance. Not resignation, but acceptance. That moment when you stop trying to make your life look Instagram worthy and just start living it, with honesty. Sometimes I wonder who we would all be if we just stopped performing. Like how much lighter we'd feel. Like where would the competition be then? You know, if makeup were outlawed and we all had to show up exactly as we are, who could we be? There's something so beautiful about, showing up as you are. Like the second you wake up, that kind of are. No filters and no apologies. And the more that you do it, and the more you forget that there was ever a time, maybe, that you cared about what you once saw as flaws. And I always feel more at ease when I meet women who are just real. Like when I see someone with maybe graying hair and soft skin and a natural face, I instantly feel connected, not because of their age, but because I know that they're not trying to impress. They're trying to connect. And for me, those women's ability to show up naturally, that is just everything, And that's what I want to put into the world. Like, we don't have to fake it. And we don't have to act like aging is a breeze or that we're unaffected by it. And it's okay to admit it's challenging. And, that's part of being human. So real aging isn't about pretending, it's about, it's being authentic. And it's about saying, this is me right now. And that's enough. That's the kind of beauty that I want to celebrate, the kind that doesn't perform and it doesn't hide and it doesn't apologize for living. Thanks for chatting with me today. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And I have one question. Are you an apologist? I'd love to hear your stories. Let me know. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.